Chris watched the film using all of the powers of his small head
Yes.
to analyze what happened between the Cardinals and the Rams. And I still don't get this. Rams beat the Cardinals 8 straight times with Jared Goff primarily as their quarterback. In comes Matthew Stafford. And, of course, the Cardinals dismantle the team that had been number 1 last week in the all-important PFT power ranking.
Yeah, well, again, hey, Arizona's talented, like we've talked about every week. There's just playmakers on both sides of the ball that can change the football game. So there is that aspect. Kyler Murray certainly had his best performance I've ever seen him have against the Los Angeles Rams. Rams, weren't there at their best containing him within the pocket. I think that's one thing that jumped out. He did get outside the pocket, especially early on in the game when it was still in the balance, and he made plays there that we had not seen the Rams kind of let him do to this point. So that was huge. Third downs, Mike, I've been talking about this all year with Kyler Murray. They stayed in third and manageable all game long. Here, a 3rd and 6, just a subtle move to the right. And again, they're one of those teams like we talk about in football where there's just too many damn good players to think you're going to match up against everybody, one-on-one across the board. And I thought as in Kyler Murray, I thought threw the ball as well as I've ever seen him throw it. He was on his game, not only with decision-making, but, Mike, one of my words of the weekend was patience, and especially with the Cardinals. Here's the difference, I think, between their team and years past, at least on the offensive side of the ball. Their offensive line's real this year. They can protect for real, and they can run the ball with power. They can literally move people out of the way. So they have a great balance there, and let alone, even though they got some power up front, it's an athletic group. So now when they want to throw screens out to the edge to the wide receivers or the running backs, they can get out there and block in space. And I think that's, to me, going to be one of the keys to the year for the Cardinals as they go forward. Not necessarily how many yards they run, but rushing attempts. That is going to be huge because you really get compromised if you have to start worrying about their run game. Think about it this way. They're going to spread you out. You want to get out there to cover these receivers and okay, let's stop that. But all of a sudden you got to worry about a run game, and now you got to start putting people in the box. That favors matchups on the outside in the pass game. It favors the matchups in the screen game out there. It can make it harder as far as just containing Kyler Murray in a lot of aspects that way as well. So that's where they were special. And once they got a lead, they were really patient in running the ball, short passes. Look at some of their drives, Mike. I don't know if you've seen it really, but 11 plays, 75 yards. 17 plays, 70 yards. 10 plays, 38 yards. 9 plays, 64 yards. 12 plays, 94 yards. That shows execution and the ability to kind of just be like, hey, we're not going to hold the ball. We're not going to let Aaron Donald strip sack, fumble, or throw the ball down into a crowd and Jalen Ramsey's going to intercept it. And I think that's what jumped out to me more than anything about the Cardinals, especially on the offensive side of the ball, Mike.
Well, and I'm counting up 40 rushing attempts here and only 6 from Kyler Murray.
There you go.
Chase Edmonds had 12, and James Conner had 18. He only gained 50 yards, but he had a couple of touchdowns. So it is that patience that you're talking about, not just from Kyler Murray's standpoint, but from the offensive standpoint.
Right.
It can't be every play, let Kyler Murray go do something magical. It can't be. It's going to catch up to you at some point if you try to do it that way.
Yeah, no, exactly right. You got to give defenses more to think about. And I think that's the little difference of the Arizona team this year. It's not like the most complicated formula in the world, but because they got talent, and if you stay a little patient with the run game, and Chase Edmonds to me is like a budding superstar at the running back position. If they can do that, yeah, then you got to think twice, like, damn, okay, we got to stop the run, but are we really going to leave Hopkins and Kirk and Ronald Moore and A.J. Green one-on-one? And then there's a splash of 2 tight end sets because of their ability to run the ball. They'll bring them in, and now you go, well, we got to defend the run. We do. And that allows them to run a play-action pass and gash you for a big gain that way. So, that was really impressive for them on that side of the ball. I just think the patience, the execution, they never let the Rams make the game frenzied. And on the other side of the ball, the Cardinals D, made some plays and took the Rams out of their attack altogether, as the game went along.
Well, what did you see there? Because I remember looking up and seeing Deshaun Jackson get behind the defense again, and this time it got picked off by Byron Murphy.
That's where it starts, right there. 3-0, got the ball here right around midfield. this is, we've seen Stafford. Yeah, he hit a long touchdown last week, but he's missed Deshaun Jackson more than he hit him. That's grossly underthrown. It's 15 yards underthrown. He had the guy beat by, this doesn't even do it justice. He had him beat by 3 or 4 strides. He's been slowing down for the last 6 or 7 steps there by the time Byron Murphy got that interception. But I think between that, they have the fumble by Sony Michel that, of course, leads to a short field touchdown by the Arizona football team. The Rams' offense was just a little off, and then they got a little impatient with throwing the ball when they got down. They kind of lost their run game. But, like, Mike, they had, Stafford missed a third down throw to Cooper Kupp where it's going to be a touchdown. He kind of stumbles coming out of the break and I think ended up taking a different angle, and then they missed the field goal. And Stafford was off his game just a little bit, just enough in a game like this where he could not be. And as we've talked about, like the Cardinals on the offensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball has got a lot of difference makers. And once they get you into, you have to pass the ball, this is where I love Arizona. Vance Joseph on the defense, they do some crazy, awesome, creative stuff. And they can be very tough to move the ball once they got you in that corner of going, you got to throw the ball 3 out of 4 times here. And that's where they become like a real pain in the butt to deal with on that side.
Back to Stafford and Jackson.
Yeah.
Because I wonder if it's just as simple as Stafford has never had a guy that fast.
Sure.
And he's still adjusting to the fact that however much you would put on that pass for anyone else, you still have to put more on it for Deshaun Jackson.
You have to throw it as high and as far as you can for a guy like Deshaun Jackson. Gruden used to give me a lot of credit and be like, man, you're just unbelievable deep ball thrower to Joey Galloway, right? I mean, I wasn't good at much, but I could launch the ball. And my goal with Joey was drop back fast and throw that damn thing as far as I could, because he'll go run it down when it's in the air. And you really have to have that type of confidence. If I just throw it out there and high, he'll go see it, and he'll just put on go gadget afterburners, and he'll fly and go get the ball. And it's rare. There's not a whole lot of guys like that in football. We saw Jameis Winston have issues hitting Deshaun Jackson a few years ago. Remember that? Same type of thing, especially Deshaun Jackson. He's deceptive speed. It doesn't look like he's flying. He's kind of a long strider. Hey, Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham Jr., it's the same thing. He can't hit the damn guy. Odell's left, there's 300 yards of receiving left on the field the last 2 weeks, but Baker can't hit him. I don't know what it is. And sometimes those fast guys, it can have that effect on a quarterback, and it can take a little while to get used to how you throw the football to them.
I really do think there is a fundamental difference, though, between target practice and just launching.
100%.
With a guy like that, you just launch it. Like Russell Wilson explained it to me after week 1 when they beat the Colts, that he loves throwing the deep ball. He loves how everything gets quiet and it's silent, and he trusts that Tyler Lockett is going to play center fielder.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. The best receivers, the fast receivers, what allows them to be effective isn't just the speed that gets them open. It can track the ball as soon as it's in the air. And it's like playing outfield. As soon as the ball's off the bat, you have an innate sense of where it's going to be and where you need to be. As soon as the ball is thrown, the receiver has that inherent barometer that tells him,
right,
here's where it's going, here's where I need to be to go get it. Wherever it is, wherever it fires, he knows that's where he's got to go get it. So it's not like the timing route and put the ball right
100%.
there and the receiver's going to hit it right in his hand. No, it's different. It's a launch. And
there is a difference. You're right.
Some of these guys need to think of it that way. You're not trying to hit a target.
No.
You're just trying to put it out there.
No, you're trying to put it in a broad area, and I think you explained it exactly right. Yeah, this is different than an out route or a 20-yard comeback or a 20-yard in cut where, you are getting used to the timing and the rhythm of a guy coming out of a break and his body language. This is like, hey, just let me know the angle you're on, and I'm going to throw it generally out here in this area. You're a receiver. And the thing is where we talk about, and I know we had this conversation a little last year, great deep ball throwers throw the ball high in the air because it gives you more room for error. And, of course, like you're talking about, it gives the receiver the ability to adjust the ball. And DBs, wait for it, why they don't play receiver is because they're not good at adjusting to the ball more times than not. They usually, when they start to look up, they choke to death. Oh, my gosh. And they just grab a defender or do whatever, or a receiver or whatever. And hopefully Stafford will get that. He does have some Calvin Johnson history, right? to where I think it's got to be approached like that. Yeah, he's not big like Calvin, but just throw it 65 yards, throw it as high as you can, and Deshaun Jackson will go get it.
The other question, too, whether or not Stafford is relying too excessively on Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
There's a question of whether Robert Woods is getting frustrated. Sean McVay addressed that yesterday. He said he's going to work to get him the ball more. There was a late touchdown scored by Robert Woods and kind of threw the ball away, and McVay explained that was more about frustration about the circumstance of the game. But Woods is getting about half the targets right now of Kupp. And for a guy who's got a bloated cap number and a big salary and I think is in jeopardy next year as the Rams deal with a cap crunch, he's got to be thinking, hey, if I'm not getting opportunities to show what I can do, I may be on the endangered species list.
Yeah, well, maybe. I do think, like, your point's real in that it's a little too much. Every big situation it seems like it's draw the play up for Cooper Kupp right now, to where you can kind of pin that tail on the donkey as far as the Rams offense. A little bit like we saw earlier in the show when we showed Hunter Renfrow with the Chargers. I mean, it's 3rd and Renfrow. Do you think the Chargers don't know it? Well, it's the same thing with the Rams a little bit right now. You know, anytime it's like 3rd and 5 or 6, it's, hey, let's get Cooper Kupp on a stack release, and he'll read the coverage and go in or out or straight, whatever we kind of tell him to do or dictate on the week. And, yeah, defenses, I sure, are starting to see that. And the Cardinals definitely did, you know, some brackets and were aware of where he was in those situations. No doubt about it.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.